Today we're going to talk about how to solve equations that contain fractions of different denominators. We already talked about how to solve equations that contain fractions of same denominators. I'll put that in the info section. The link will pop up, and I also put it in the link in the description, so you can click on it and go and watch that. Before we understand this particular concept, there is something we need to understand first. It is called the least common multiple, or some also call it the least common denominator. Okay, let's look at what we mean by that. If I have 2 and I have, let's say, 3, right? Let's look at the multiples of 2. 2 times 1 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 4 is 8, times 5 is 10, times 6 is 12, and so on and so forth. You know this. 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, times 4 is 12, times 5 is 15. There are some common multiples here. The first common multiple that you see is 6 and 6, right? There is even more multiples. If you had continued, there are more multiples, but you can also see 12 and you can see 12, right? Now, among these two multiples, which one is the least? It's obviously 6, right? So usually when you talk about least common multiple, you have to multiply the two numbers, or in other sense, find the prime numbers of the two numbers and multiply the common ones, okay, together to find that. All right, so now that you understand the least common multiple, we can move on to solving some problems here. All right, let's look at this problem. X on 2 minus x on 3 equals 7. If they were the same denominator, you would have just picked the denominator and multiply by each term. Here there are different denominators, so we need to find the least common multiple, and we know that the easiest way to find least common multiple is to multiply the two numbers. So 2 times 3 will give you 6, right? Yes, it is not always the least common multiple, but if you want to find a common multiple, just multiply the two numbers. So here we're going to use 6, right, and multiply 6 by each term. All right, we are done multiplying the least common multiple by each term, right? So now let's simplify. 2 can go into 6 3 times, and that will give you 3x, minus 3 can go into 6 2 times, that gives me 2x, and 6 times 7 is 42, right? So 3x and 2x are like terms, so we can combine them. 3x minus 2x is 1x, which is x, and that is equal to 42. Now this is what I want you to take note of. You realize that when you multiply two factors here, two numbers 3 and 2, that gives you 6. 3 and 2 becomes factors. You see, we mentioned that when two numbers multiply to give you a product, the two numbers that are doing the multiplication are called factors. That means that if you are dividing one factor by the product, it should give you the other factor. You understand? So if I multiply, let's say 10 by 12, that will give you 120. It means that when I divide 120 by 10, it should give me 12. If I divide 120 by 12, it should give me 10. That is something that I want you to understand. All right, let's look at this problem. X over 2 equals 12 minus x over 4. Again, we need to find the LCM, right? You know, 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So the least common multiple is 4, right? But in case solving that is going to be a problem for you, just multiply the two numbers. 2 times 4 will give you 8, right? So now let's use that approach. 2 times 4 is 8. So that let's multiply 8 by each term. We have multiplied 8 by each term, right? What I mentioned early on is that when you multiply two factors to get a product, it means that when I'm dividing one of the factor, I'm dividing the product by one of the factor, it should give me the other factor. I multiplied 2 to get 8. it means that if I'm dividing 8 by 2, I should get 4. So this will give me 4x. Very simple. Equals 12 times 8. 12 times 8. 8 times 11 is 88. 8 times 12 is 96. I multiply 4 and 2 to get 8. So if I'm dividing 8 by 4, that should give me 2x, right? Now we can transpose. Transpose means that I pick this one from the right side of equality and bring it to the left side of equality, right? It is negative 2x on the right side of equality. When I bring it to the left side, it becomes positive 2x. You just negate it. This gives me 4x plus 2x equals 96. Now 4x and 2x are like terms, so we can combine them. 4x plus 2x is 6x, and that equals 96. If I divide by 6 and I divide by 6, division property of equality, then x is going to be 16. Alright, let's look at this problem. You realize that they are of different denominators, so we can find the least common multiple. You know, the least common multiple here is 12. You realize that 4 times 1 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 3 is 12. 3 times 1 is 3, times 2 is 6, times 3 is 9, times 4 is 12. 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 6, times 4 is 8, times 5 is 10, times 6 is 12. So the least common multiple for these three denominators is 12, right? So we have to multiply each term by the least common multiple. Now we have multiplied each term by the least common multiple. Let's simplify this. Which factor would you multiply by 4 to give you 12? 4 times 3 is 12. It means that if 4 is dividing 12, that will give you 3. So 3y. 3 times 4 is 12. So if 12 is being divided by 3, that will give you 4y. 2 times 6 is 12. So if I'm dividing 12 by 2, that should give me 6y, right? And then 12 times 26 is going to give us 312. Now 3y plus 4y plus 6y, these are like terms. They are like terms because look at their literals. Y, y, y. It's the same literal. And we said that when a term has same literal, it means they are like terms, and so you can combine their numeric coefficient, which is 3, 4, and 6. So 4 plus 6 is 10 plus 3 is 13. So this gives me 13y, and that is equal to 312. Then we can divide both sides by 3. According to the division property of equality, to maintain equality, you need to divide by the same number. Okay, so you can do that. Okay, so now these numbers are equal, and so we can find y. Y will be equal to 24, because 13 times 24 is 312. All right, let's look at this problem. Guess what the LCM is? All right, so if you were able to find the LCM, that should be 12, because 2 times 6 is 12, 3 times 4 is also 12. So yes, so we multiply by the LCM. We have multiplied each term by the LCM. So we mentioned that 2 times 6 is 12. So if I'm dividing 12 by 2, that should give me 6. So this will give me 6 times 5x, right? Minus 3 goes into 12 4 times. So 4 times 2x. And this equals 2 times 11x, because 6 will go into 12 2 times. 6 times x, 6 times 5x will give you 30x, minus 4 times 2 8x, and this is going to give us negative 22. 30x minus 8x are like terms, so we can subtract their numeric coefficient. 30 minus 8 will give you 22, so 22x, and that is equal to negative 22. We do division property of equality by dividing both sides by 22, and so x will be equal to negative 1. Okay, so let's look at this problem. This is a little different because the denominator is also a variable or a literal. So we have x and we have 2. Alright, so the easiest way to find such denominators is to multiply them. X times 2 will give you 2x. Remember that the factors here are x and 2 multiplying to give you the product, which is 2x. So that would be our least common multiple, right? So if I multiply 2x by 1 over x plus 2x by 1 over 2 equals 5 over x times 2x, then I can cancel out the common terms. So I multiplied x and 2 to get 2x. So if I'm dividing 2x by x, that should give me 2. This and that will cancel out. This and that will cancel off. This and that will cancel off. So let's see what we have. We have 2 plus x equals 5 times 2. So this should give us 2 plus x equals 10. And you know that we can transpose. So 2 will transpose from the left side of equality to the right side of equality. On the left side of equality, it is positive plus 2. So when it comes to the right side of equality, it becomes negative 2. I have now x equals 10 minus 2, and x will be equal to positive 8. Let's move on to our last problem, and then we bring this to a close. Alright, so let's look at this problem. Here, the denominator is also different. Now we have 3x here, and we have x. Now we don't need to multiply this because this x is already found in 3x. So our least common multiple is 3x, right? So now we can therefore multiply each term by 3x. Now we have multiplied each term by 3x. Let's see how it turns out. 3x here is going to cancel out 3x. X here is going to cancel out, and then we can continue. So here we're going to have 2 plus 3 here, and that is going to give you 5 times 3x is going to give us 15x, right? So let's add the common terms, which is 2 plus 3 will give you 5, and that is equal to 15x. What we want is x, not 15x. So we can apply the division property of equality by dividing 15 on both sides. So x is equal to 5 over 15. Now we can simplify this because 15 can be expressed in terms of 5, which is 3 times 5. And again, 5 cancels out 5, which means we have 1 over 3. So the solution for this is x equals 1 over 3. Now hopefully this brings us to the end of this particular session, solving equations that contain fractions of different denominators. If you have any question, you can put it in the comments below. I would attend to that. If you have any homework that you need help, you can also send it to me via serendipitymedia.2022@gmail.com. Also subscribe to my channel, and I have more videos on different topics that you may be interested in. Like and turn on the post notification button. Share this content to someone who may need it. Thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you.